Let's get to it. And this is a new game. I don't know how often we're going to play it. We've got this selection of Price is Right style games we play from time to time. This is loosely based on a more common cultural game that I can't name here because one of the words is one of Chris's favorite words. Start one, bench one, cut one. That's what we're going to do
So
here.
negative.
3 players.
So negative. Why? I mean, we only
How
get to
am I
say
being
one
negative?
positive. Well, because I'm not saying it's you. I'm blaming stats. I'm blaming Pete Dimolitalitis, all those guys in the back room. I mean, bench one and cut one are both negatives, so we only get to say a little positive. It's very hard here. I don't like this.
So you're more accustomed to the other game that has, I guess, 2 that would be positive and 1 that would be very negative, extremely negative.
Exactly.
Since it involves
Extremely
murder.
negative. Right.
All right.
Right.
Start one, bench one, cut one. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers.
I'm going to start Tom Brady. I'm going to bench Drew Brees, and I'm going to cut Phillip Rivers. That's how I'm going to go there. I'm still.
Wasn't that easy? Wasn't that
yes,
easy?
that was easy.
That was easy.
That was I know that was an easy one. I'm more worried about some of the other ones I see on this list farther down that they're not easy. But do you agree? Would you go that order? What would you do?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, Brees and Brady. You're not sure?
No. My only hesitation. No, I agree because I think Brees would take to being the backup better than Rivers would. I think that Rivers, as anything other than the starter, is a guy that you would want to kill. You wouldn't want him around. I mean, you heard the rumblings when there was chatter about maybe the Chargers drafting somebody, and he reacted very negatively. I mean, it's that he's got that very intense passion and that fire, but that is also coming from the framework of I'm your guy. And if you tell me I'm not your guy, then we have a problem. So I think you're right. I don't want Phillip Rivers around as anything but my starter. And Brees would be an excellent backup, a great team player, and he'd do everything he could to get the starter ready. And Brady's still the guy who would be the starter out of those 3. See, that wasn't bad. Let's move on to the next one.
It wasn't bad. All right.
Start one, bench one, cut one. Melvin Gordon, Devontae Freeman, Todd Gurley.
Okay, I'm going to go start Melvin Gordon, bench Todd Gurley, cut Devontae Freeman. First off, Melvin Gordon, there's some injury issues there, but man, when Melvin Gordon got going last year, you see he's capable of being a true workhorse. His body's in better shape than Todd Gurley's. Todd Gurley, I think, is perfect for the bench. I mean, that's kind of what we saw him do last year a little bit. You count his reps a little bit, maintain his body, and then when he does get in there, he can still fly straight away. And then Devontae Freeman's a guy I got questions about in general going forward. He's been beat up. He's not a real big guy. He's going to have to find somewhere else to revive his career, which he actually is going to have to do in real life too.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I agree with you on Freeman, but I say start Todd Gurley. You don't have to keep him on the field. He's your guy, though. He's your main guy because I think he presents a greater game planning dilemma for an opposing defense than a Melvin Gordon does. If you use him sparingly, you still have to account for him being on the field from time to time. What do we do when Todd Gurley's on the field? I'm not saying he's on the field for 70 snaps, and I'm not saying he should get 20 touches. If you manage his workload, when he's on the field, he's the guy where he's the red dot player, right? He's the guy you better know where he is and what he's doing, and you better account for him or he's going to burn you, even if he's only burning you in smaller doses.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I know what your logic you're saying there, but I want my workhorse to be the starter. And I look right now at Melvin Gordon being the workhorse, where Gurley, he comes in and, we got this little creative toss sweep where if he gets it, on the edge, he could go 50 yards. We got a play action screen or a screenplay. That's kind of how I viewed it. And yes, I am concerned about Gurley's knee. I mean, hey, the Rams we get it. We saw it in his play last year. And I know a few times that I came on the show on, after watching my film and doing all that, where I said, there was reluctance to cut off the bad knee too. So it shows up. So that's why I would just rather bring him off the bench. Let him ride the bike, get warm, and then go out there and hit it.
Now it gets more complicated
as
we move to the receivers. This one, Stats, what are you doing to us?
Killing
Diggs,
me, Stats.
Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins. Start one, bench one, cut one. Really?
Really? This is the one that caught my attention, right? All right, I'm starting DeAndre Hopkins. I am. I think he's the best one of the group. He's the most reliable. He's always healthy. He's tough. I'm gonna bench Stefon Diggs. I'm gonna put him over there, and then I'm going to cut Amari Cooper. It's not an easy one here, but I'm going to cut Amari Cooper. Really, more going with the cutting of Amari Cooper just because of being banged up and injured a little bit, and I feel like it's tough between him and Diggs' attitude. I'd be a little worried about either one of them. But I don't know if Amari Cooper is going to react real well being a bench warmer either.
Well, I think both of them would accept the fact that they should be behind DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins,
order.
right.
But we've seen more flashpoints from Diggs than we have from Cooper. He went AWOL on the team last year after the Bears game, and I have said, and we look, Stefon Diggs is one of our favorites. He's great when he's on the show, when we're at the Super Bowl, and he's had some great moments for the Vikings, who have some great moments for the Bills, and I think the positives outweigh the negatives. But there are plenty of receivers who, as long as the team wins, they don't care, right? Remember that Week 1 game, Vikings beat the Falcons, they threw the ball 10 times.
Yeah.
Most players would be like, we're fine with that as long as we win. I don't think Diggs was fine with that. And I think Diggs is a guy, if you're not going to start him, you don't want him on the team. You don't want to put him in a backup role because he's going to be a pain in your butt. More a pain in your butt than Amari Cooper if he's on the bench. So that's I don't know. I don't know. Is Amari Cooper better when he's healthy? He is better. Every week we had
probably,
him on
but if he's healthy,
feature.
right? Yes.
Yeah. This one was the toughest one.
Without a doubt, is the toughest one. But that's what would concern me too, is Amari Cooper's health. And, again, too, we saw Amari Cooper, as much as he's kind of like righted himself in Dallas and seemed to have changed his image, when things weren't great in Oakland, yeah, he didn't say a lot of things, but I think he went around with a lot of bad body language and showed that he wasn't happy that way and that he wasn't comfortable there in that organization and that environment too. So you got to take that into account too. And also, hey, let's not forget, I know you want to blame Diggs after that Chicago week. Thielen's the one that opened the doors. He opened the whammy on Kirk Cousins that whole week. And I think that opened the floodgates and gave Diggs confidence to act up himself too.
And here's the other thing too. If we take their contracts as they currently are and their expectations for the future,
sure.
Do you make DeAndre Hopkins a cap casualty if he wants $22 million a year and just go with Diggs and Cooper?
Well, it's a good question. You're right, but no, not right now. DeAndre Hopkins he's kind of in the zone. He's in the prime of his career right now. One, he can get open. Two, when he's not open, he's still open. He's one of those guys, and I think that's special. There's only a handful of them in football.
All right, next one. Pass rushers, defensive linemen, Jadeveon Clowney, Chris Jones, Shaq Barrett. Start one, bench one, cut one.
Man, this one might be worse than the one before. All right, I'm starting Chris Jones. Chris Jones to me is one of the best defensive players in football. He is a game disruptor. Man, I love Jadeveon Clowney, but I'm going to put Shaquille Barrett on the bench, all right? Because Shaquille Barrett is, first off, he's been on the bench there. He's shown that he's a team guy. And Jadeveon Clowney, yeah, I'm going to cut him because of the injury history. And I don't think he's the type of guy that could deal with being on the bench either. And he might cause a ruckus that way and not be happy in that situation.
Yeah, if I had a healthy Jadeveon Clowney, I'd start him every game. The problem is I'm not going to get a healthy Jadeveon Clowney. And as you point out, he had the microfracture surgery on his knee after his rookie season. He injured that knee the first game of his rookie season. He kind of landed awkwardly on the turf at the stadium in Houston, and that was that. And he's been fighting that ever since. So I agree with you. Chris Jones is the guy you have to have on the field all the time for what he can do as a run stopper and as a pass rusher. And Barrett, I think, would accept the role as a backup, rotational, situational pass rusher. And Jadeveon, sorry, we love you, but we can't count on you to be here, so we're going to go with Jones and Barrett instead. Let's squeeze in one more here. This one's intriguing. Okay. Start one, bench one, cut one. Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, and the 13th overall draft pick, which is what the 49ers got from the Colts in exchange for Buckner, who they decided not to sign to a long-term deal because he wanted too much money, so they signed Eric Armstead instead.
I'm going to go Buckner and start him because he's the best player of the group. He's he's one of the better defensive players in all of football. He's a game changer that way. I'm going to put Eric Armstead on the bench. And, as much as I like the 13th pick in the draft and the possibilities, they're not proven commodities like the other two are. I mean, DeForest Buckner, yeah, he's in the combo for one of the best. Yes, but you're worried about the money? That's what you're talking about? Armstead is a proven commodity,
you get a guy for 5 years. You get a guy for 5 years cheap with that 13th overall pick.
Okay, great. But what if you get a bust? I mean, I could show you some 13 overall picks or crap the last few years. So, how do you feel about your money that you saved now? Or would you rather have the really good player?
I would go Buckner start, 13th overall draft pick bench, Eric Armstead cut, because those draft picks before they are exercised, you know how it goes. The teams act like they are like untouchable sacred objects because every pick can become a Hall of Fame player. An unused pick is like an unscratched lottery ticket that potentially is going to give you $20 million, right? And until you scratch it off, you don't know what's behind that annoying silver paint that never wants to come off all the way. Before it's scratched, it can be anything. And I think before that pick is used, it can be anyone. It can be a Hall of Famer. It can be a guy that makes your career as a GM. So I'm not throwing that thing out the window, although the Colts were very happy to do that, to get DeForest Buckner, and they're paying him $21 million per year. And I think that the mindset is that's kind of a wasteland this year. Like, there's not a guaranteed great player at number 13. So what the hell? Let's go ahead and get a guy that we know is going to be great.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly what they did. And I think they looked at their defensive line and said, we need a difference maker, and we're not going to find one at 13 this year. So, yeah, I mean, that would be part of that discussion if we were really running a football team and we had to make these type of decisions. You got to look at the roster, what's available in free agency, what's available in the draft, and then you have to try to figure it out from there. And, yeah, sitting at 13 in this draft, I don't know if there was a difference maker like DeForest Buckner that you could guarantee, say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be able to get him at 13. I think some of those guys might be gone by the time they're picking. And then it's kind of no man's land for a while before the next group of really good, the other guys that you would pick at defensive tackle.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.